वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Okay, I cannot see anybody. Everybody is gonna be. Can I see everybody? Okay. Swara and Sia and everybody. Can I see you guys?
Just say. One second.
Okay. Okay, let's do the meditation first. Ready? Joshua, you good?
Yeah.
Can we do it? Okay, let's start with our 12th chapter. Everybody ready? Good? Ready? Okay. Arjuna Vacha
Arjunuvacha
evam satatayuktaye mattastam paryupasate ye chapyakshara vyaktam
Tesham ke yoga vittama. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Maya Veshamano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate. Shraddhaya Paryopetas Te Me Yukta Tamamata. Etvaksharam Nirdesham Avyaktam Paryupasate. Sarvatragavachintyam cha Kutastam achalam dhruvam. Saniyam yendriya kramam Sarvatra samabodhaya. Te brahmavanti mameva Sarvabhuta hite rata. Kleshodikatarastesham Avyakta sakta chetasam. Avyakta hi gatir dukkham Dehavad biravapyate. Ye tu sarvani karmani Mayi sanyasya matpara. Ananyeneva yogena Mam dhyayanta upasate. Teshamaham samudarta Mrityu sansara sagara. Bhavami nachirat partha Maya veshita chetasam. Mayi vamana adatsva Mayi buddhir niveshaya. Nivashishyasi mayeva Ata urdhvam na samshaya. Ata chittam samadhatum Na shaknoshi mayi stiram. Abhyasa vinakto Mamik chantum dhananjaya. Abhyasa samartosi Matkarma paramo bhava. Madartam api karmani Kurvan siddhim avapsyasi. Athitadapya shaktoshi Kartum madyogamashita. Sarva karma phalatyagam Tata kuru yatatmavan. Shreyo hi jnana abhyasaj Jnana dhyanam vishishyate. Dhyanat karma phalatyagas Tyaga chanteranantara. Adveshta sarvabhutana Metra karuna evacha. Nirmamo nirahankara Samadukha sukhashami. Santushta satatam yogi Yathatma dridhanishchaya. Mayarpita mano buddhir Yo mad bhakta same priya. Yasmano dvijate loko Lokano dvijate chaya. Harshamarshavayo dvegir Mukto ya sachame priya. Anapeksha suchir daksha Udasino gatavyata. Sarvaramba parityagi Yo mad bhakta same priya. Yo narishyati na dveshti Na sochati na kamkshati. Shubha shubha parityagi Bhakti manya same priya. Sama shatro cha mitre cha Tatha manapamanayo. Shitosna sukha dukkeshu Sama sanga vivarjita. Tulya nindra stutirmuni Santushta yena kenachit. Aniketa stitar madhir Bhakti mame priyo nara. Yet dharmamritamidam Yatoktam paryupasate. Shraddhana matparma Bhaktaste tivrame priya. Om Tatsaditi Srimad Bhagavad Geeta Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Bhakti Yoga
Nama Dvadasho Adhyayah. Krishna Arpanamastu. Okay. So we are on chapter number 6. And what shloka are we on? Anybody remember where did we end? Anybody may remember where we end last week? 6.
6.
Viveka. What did you say, Sia? Where did we end?
I don't know. I'm guessing 10.
10? Look at your notebook.
I lost my notebook. Hold on.
Oh, man. We didn't reach till 10. But we were in 1 to 10, but we didn't reach 10. Okay.
10 would be record pace.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, Avi knows. We ended on slope 5.
5. Good. Okay.
Oh,
So just just minus 5, huh? See, yeah, from your number, and we get 5. Okay. So before we start, just a quick story about as we want to understand how things work, right? So there was a student who was giving exams, but you know how the MCAT and those exams, the entrance exams. So this girl was trying to get into doing the MCAT exam and was not tried hard but couldn't clear it, right? So was very depressed because she was not able to clear the exams. So she got very depressed, and then she didn't wanted to do anything. So her dad saw that she was very depressed. So one day the dad said, okay, come here and look at this. So what he wanted to show her is he put 3 boiling water on the stove. In one water he put potatoes, right? In the other one he put eggs, and the third one he put coffee, a spoon of coffee. So then he was explaining, what do you see here? And she said, what? It's a potato boiling, and you are boiling an egg, and you are making coffee. What do I need to see in this? And he said, no, take out. So after a little while, everything was boiled good enough, and the father took out the potatoes out, the eggs out, and the coffee, he put it in a cup. And then he said, look at that, what are these? So she again said, one is potato, one is egg, and one is coffee. What is the difference in this? What do you want me to see? So she little got frustrated. So the dad said that what happened to potato when it got boiled? So what happened to potato when it got boiled was potato becomes what? Brown and what? Cooked. And what happened to potato before and after?
Oh, mushy.
Mushy, yeah. The potato become mushy after it got boiled, right? The potato before were very hard, right? And they become mushy. Then what happened to eggs after boiling? They became hard, right? Before, if you break the egg, they would have, the liquid would have come out, and now it's hard. So the potato became hard. What happened to coffee after it got boiled? Did it change? No? But what did coffee do?
Just mix in the water.
Yeah, change the color of the water, right? So he was saying that there are different kind of people in this world, right? Some, when they are put in boiling water, means in the hard situation. When they are put in hard situation, they become mushy. They get the situation comes over them and they get mushy, and they couldn't handle the hot water of their toughness, and they become really soft and mushy, right? Some people, when the tough situations come, then what they become is they become strong, like egg, which was mushy before, but they become strong. And some people, with the hard situation comes, they don't change themselves, but they change the environment around them, which is they actually do not change their own life, but they change surrounding of them, right? So there are 3 kind of situation where life will put you through when the challenges come. Not 3 type of challenges, but there are challenges that gonna come in your life. What do you want to be? That you have to decide. Whether you want to be potato, and when the challenges come, you become mushy, or you could be strong as how the egg was, or you can be a coffee that can, not change a lot by himself, but change their surroundings so the challenges goes away. So that's where, whenever the situations come, we're going to study today about how we can stay stable in all kind of situations. That's what Krishna Bhagavan is going to tell us. So we need to understand that the challenge is going to come in everybody's life, but how we face it, that's where this whole what we are studying in Gita, that's what it teaches us, how to stay stable in any situation, not change anything, but change the not change for ourselves, but become stronger in any challenges, any situation, right? So what we learned so far in chapter 6 is, first two chapters God explained that how to do meditation. He praised karma yogi. So karma yoga, we have to do it to even do meditation, right? So purification of mind through karma yoga is needed, and then we do the meditation. That was the first two sloks that God said in this chapter. Then next he says that the person who is climbing towards the going towards the spiritual ladder of climbing towards the meditation, arurukshu, you remember the climbing person, he needs to do action, he needs to do karma yoga. But who is already established, who is yoga ruda, then what happens is that person doesn't have to do action, he has to give up the actions. So he explains that. Now on fourth one, he explained, then we said, hey, how, what should we do to get that? So then God explains that you have to lift yourself by yourself, right? Do you remember that shlok? So the fourth shlok, he says you have to lift yourself by yourself. Your own mind is your friend, and the own mind can be your enemy too, right? So he said that in the fourth shlok. And in the fifth shlok, I think he said that in the fifth one, right? The aruruksho, and that one is the fourth one. Yeah. So last time we talk about how to lift yourself by yourself, right? And we talk about lift abbreviation, how lift is, how to lift yourself, right? So what was L? You guys remember? How to lift yourself, and LIFT, we talk about it. What was L? Do you guys remember? Did I write it in here? What was L? I already have it on the board here. What was L, guys? Anybody there? Yes.
Bobby knows. Look to the ideal self.
Look where you what is the ideal self? Yeah, look what the ideal self is. L, right? Where you want to lift yourself. What is the ultimate goal? That's what you look. What was I? What was I?
I was introspect.
Yeah, have introspectum of yourself. Where are you? So look, I introspect where you are. And what was F?
Focus.
Focus. You have to have focus. And then what was T?
So, it was take shelter in God.
Take shelter in God, right? Okay. So that's where we have to lift ourselves by ourselves. Nobody else will come and lift us. That's what we talked about it last week, right? Nobody, no friends, no father, no mother, no friend, no coach, nobody lift us up. Like they don't gonna do it for us, right? We will have to do it ourselves, right? That's what I was saying. Nobody will say you can be potato, you can be a egg, or you can be a coffee. You have to become by yourself. You have to face all the challenges by yourself, right? So that's what it is. Nobody is gonna be doing for you. Now we also talk about that mind can be your friend, and mind can be your worst enemy. Both can be your mind, right? So that's where we left last time. Now let's do how can the mind be your friend, and how the mind can be your worst enemy. Let's figure that out. God explains that in slok number 6. Which mind is our friend and which kind of mind is our worst enemy. That's what's going to come up in slok number 6. Okay, let's go to slok number 6. Anybody online want to read that slok? Anybody volunteer? Not there?
we don't have the Gita book, so.
Oh, you don't have it? Okay. You have it, Raja? Okay. Ready?
Bandur Atmatman. Wait.
Okay, how about you read the second one?
What?
Like seventh one later.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Krishna.
Bandur atmatmanastasya
Bandhuratmanmanastasya
yenatmevatmana jita
yenatmevatmana jita
anatmanastu shatrutve
anatmanastu shatrutve
vartetatmeva shatruvat
vartetatmeva shatruvat. Very good. Okay, together. Bandhuratmanmanastasya yenatmevatmana jita anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmeva shatruvat. Okay, so here God is explaining us which mind is our friend and which mind is our enemy. Before we get into that, let's talk about the word and the meaning. Bandhu. Bandhu, anybody remember from last time? We also read that word bandhu before too. Yes.
I mean friend.
Friend. Bandhu is friend, right? Now, one thing I will tell you, how many times Atma is in this shlok again? You remember last time also, Atma was there many times. Atmeva Hyano Bandhuretma. Again Atma. So the same way here in this shlok, Atma here is also talking about not like Atma and consciousness and all those things we learned before, but this is talking about yourself, right? Man is also here talking about, Atma is talking about Man, right? So Atma, Bandhuratma means self, or you can also say that it could be the Man that Bhagwan is talking about here, right? Self, like the human, the himself, not the soul. Atma is not soul here. Then Atmanam means by self, right? And then it says Tasya. Tasya means his. Yen by whom, right? Yen means by whom. Atmevatmana, here again it comes by self, which is human. Jit means conquered, right? The Jit means also winning, conquering, or victory, kind of that thing. So Jit. Anatmana, that one who has not conquered. So here it is not conquered on Atma, on himself, on the Man. That's what it's gonna tell. So Anatmana is one who doesn't conquer on his own mind. That's what it is saying. Shatrutva. Shatrutva means enemy. Again, Shatru, you know. So Shatrutva means enemy. Vartate means becomes. And Shatrutva, again, it is enemy. So if we put everything together, it says that the one who has conquered the mind is his own friend. The one who has not conquered the mind is his enemy. So simple thing, right? So the person who has conquered the mind is, then the mind becomes his friend. The man who has not conquered his mind, then the mind is his enemy. So what is the trick to do that, which we gotta learn later? But so when God said in the previous one that mind can be your friend and mind can be your enemy, so how it becomes? If the person who doesn't conquer his mind, then the mind plays an enemy role in you, right? And when the man has conquered his mind, then what happens? not conquered his mind, then it is enemy, and conquered his mind, he is a friend. So let's talk about, there are so many things that we can right now we can figure out whether our mind is our we have conquered our mind or not, right? So if look at it, everything will have uh, two sides of it. Let's say that, if we think about the technology, right? Technology has so good sides, right? Like, oh, we are sitting so far, like I'm sitting here, you guys are at your home, still we can connect, see each other, right? The technology has such a good side of it. We can talk, so many big surgeries are done because of this technology, how people are living longer life because of this technology. So there are so many good things about the technology that we are doing, but there is something that has disadvantage also, right? What is the disadvantage of technology?
People
No
losing,
disadvantage.
people losing job.
Peop-
Technology.
Technology, people losing life. What is
It's not like good for your eyes.
good? Not good for your eyes, or you get addicted to it, right? So in our life, let's not talk about these big things that's happening outside, but in our life, technology, for a day-to-day thing, what happens is, what happening is we are getting addicted to it, right? We cannot, we keep watching it every day, and we don't have control on it, right? So the people whose mind is not conquered by when to stop using it, right? Then their mind is enemy for them, right? And the people who have this control, that hey, this is a lot of time I'm wasting, let's not waste any more time on this, because this is not, it's not in favor of me. That person has conquered his mind, and that mind is friend for him, right? You got that point? So that's where conquering the mind, and we talk about that. So let's say if we are driving a car, right? And steering is in our hand, we are driving, everything is in your control. Somebody comes, the red light comes, we know how to brake the car, we know how to raise the car, we know how to turn the car, we know how to go there, and then everything is in control, everything is going good, the car is your friend, right? Now what happens is, if there is a snow, right, and the steering goes out of control, right, and it starts, the car starts going, it's not in our control, what's going to happen? It's going to be dangerous, right? The car starts skidding away, so it's going to get dangerous. So it's not in your control, then the car doesn't become in your control. What's going to happen is, the car becomes your enemy, because now you are in danger, right? So a lot of things that we talk about it is, when we have control over our mind. Conquering your mind means, when you have control on our mind, what's going to happen is, the mind will go on the right direction. But when it is not controlled, then what happens is, it get deviated and become our own enemy, right? So what happens is, we have an intellect and mind. We were talking about last time that if we want to reach the ideal self, which we think that intellect knows about it, intellect knows what is our ideal self, but our mind either gonna cooperate with intellect and get to us to that position, or the mind will say, no, I'm not gonna cooperate with you, and the internal conflict comes, and then you cannot reach to that ideal self, right? So if you look at it, like, you read a really good book, says, hey, you should wake up in the morning on time, then do your this exercise in the morning, and then study well or study for an hour in the morning, then go to school, and don't waste too much time. So you read all these, you know about it, your intellect knows about it, you don't, but your intellect knows about it, that's the right thing to do. But then what happens is, mind either cooperate with the intellect and say, yes, 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 this is right, I'm going to keep doing this right things, and I'm going to, so what's going to happen is, you will achieve your ideal self or your intellect very easily. But in other case, what's going to happen is the mind says, oh no, I will not wake up early. I'm not going to do this. One more reel and that's it. One more reel and not, one more reel and I'm going to watch one more reel and that's it. So what's going to happen is then the mind will not cooperate with intellect, and then what's going to happen is you will waste so much of your time, and then you will never be able to achieve your ideal self, right? In spirituality this happens very easily, right? What happens is that you listen to a lot of good stuff, right? It's so many good stuff that you listen to it, but what's going to happen is as soon as that lecture is over, it goes off our mind, we start doing some other things, and then what happens is our intellect wants to do a lot of things, but what happens is our mind will say, oh, we will do it tomorrow, that's okay, we will do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow never comes, and we never get get to the level of realizing self, right? Now I feel like that in this class we all know what the spirituality is, or where we want to, what is the ideal self. The self realization is our ideal self that we want to be there. But what happens is we know all those things, but we are still, our internal conflict gonna keep coming and saying, no, I'm gonna start it tomorrow, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, and we waste a lot of time in other things which we should not, and that's where our mind is becoming our own enemy, right? So when we talk about conquering the mind, right? I want to take you back in those days when we started the class, initial couple classes, and we talk about the charioteer, and the chariot, right? You remember the symbol on the Gita book? The Krishna Bhagwan is sitting and Arjun is sitting in the back of chariot, and they have 5 horses, and everybody was symbolizing something, right? Do you guys remember? Let's talk about that. So to conquer the mind, now go back to that symbol of horses and everything. So let's talk about it. Who was the what were the horses? What were the horses? Anybody remember?
I think I know.
What were
Were they the 5 senses?
They were the 5 senses. Awesome. What was the mind? What was the mind? Say. You say. Sean, what was the mind?
The rain.
The reins were the mind. The reins that the horses are tied with, right? What was the intellect? Yes.
Oh, was it no? Not the carriage. That's body. Was it Krishna?
Yeah. The intellect was the charioteer, the person who is driving the chariot, right? And what was the consciousness? Anybody remember? Arjun, right? Who was sitting as a passenger doing nothing, right? And what was the chariot by itself?
The body.
The body, right? So, okay. So now you guys remember all. That's awesome job. Now think about it, that we are talking about conquering the mind here, right? So mind was what? One more time, mind was what?
The reins.
The reins, right? So to conquer the mind, what do we have to do first? Right? We talk about it in that class. Where do we start to get to the right level? Where do we start? We have to train the horses first. You remember? You remember that? The sense. We start with the sense organ, because controlling the reins was very hard, right? So we start with training the horses. Then what do we do with the reins? Mindful of, right? Mindful, and do the mind goes, can we correct by mindful then we do intellect, we listen to the intellect, right? So all these three things goes by hand in hand. Now when we talk about controlling or conquering the mind, we need to make sure, for us, we should start from the senses, right? Control the senses, then you can control the mind, right? So you have to step back and think about it, because Krishna Bhagavan already told all these things. He's not going to keep repeating himself that control your senses. He might come and say again, but what he's saying now, he went to the next level. He's saying that now we have to conquer our mind, right? So we have to go to the next level where we have to. But for us, just for a reminder, we need to make sure that we understand that we have to control what first? What we have to train first?
The horses.
Horses, our senses, right? Then we can control the mind, right? So so that's what so last two verses, fifth and sixth, he talk about how mind can be our friend and how mind can be our enemy, right? So first he said the statement, then he says which mind is our enemy and which mind is our friend. So the mind who is not conquered, who has his own mind has his own mind, then that person, that mind is your enemy, and the mind that is conquered, that is being controlled, that mind is our friend, right? So that's what he said. Now we want to, why I should work so hard on the mind? Why should I work so hard to train my mind or to conquer my mind? That's the answer Krishna Bhagavan is going to give us in the next slok. Okay, so let's go to slok number 7. Everybody has the book? Oh, you don't have the book, but everybody else opened the book. Slok number 7. Ready?
Jitatmana prasantasya
Jitatmanah prashantasya
Paramatma samahita
Paramatma samahita
Shitoshana sukadukeshu
Shitoshana sukha dukkheshu
Tata manapamanayo
Tatha manapamanayo Jite together. Jitatmana prashantasya Paramatma samahita Shitoshana sukha dukkheshu Tatha manapamanayo. Quiz for you guys. Where was Shitoshan Sukha Dukkheshu? We just read it before. Anybody can figure out where?
Chapter 12.
Yeah,
Chapter 12?
Yeah.
Which slok you remember?
16.
16 slok?
No. 18.
It is not 18, I guess. It is, hold on.
It's not past 16. It's like
17 or
11.
18.
I don't remember which slok, but we just read that Shitoshan Sukha Dukkheshu.
Shitoshana sukadukeshu.
Which slok?
Not 17.
18.
Anybody can tell which slok was it?
Yeah, it's 18.
It's 18. 18 slok. Good job, guys. You pay attention to that. Okay. So, let's go with this slok. This is beautiful slok to read. So, Jitatmana. Jit Atmana. Right? If we separate the word Jit, we already
Win.
read Jit means
Wait.
what?
Win?
Win, yeah. Jit means win, victory, right?
Oh, win
Jitatmana.
over the one?
Yeah.
I mean, win over the con. Wait.
This is Atma here, all used for mind, right? So Jitatmana is Jit means victory over the mind. Again, the same thing, conquering the mind, control over the mind, right? Prashantasya. Prashantasya means peaceful, right? A person who is peaceful, in serene. So Prashantasya. Paramatmana. Again, Paramatma here is the supreme self, right? The supreme consciousness, the supreme level of it. Then Samahita. Samahita means balanced, Then Shitoshan Sukha Dukkeshu. If you know the meaning of this thing, you will get to know a lot of meanings in Gita itself, right? Shitoshan Sukha Dukkeshu. Sheet, I will divide the word, right? Sheet is cold. Ushna is the hot, warm. Shitoshan, so it becomes together. Sheet means cold, Ushna means hot. Sukha dukkha, happiness and sorrow, right? Dukkeshu. So this whole word is cold, hot, happiness, sorrow, right? So Shitoshan and Sukha dukkeshu. Tatha, end. Tatha is always end. And then mana.
In honor.
Hmm?
In honor.
Yeah. Manopan. Mana means honor. And then apmana means dishonor. So honor and dishonor. Manopamana, that means honor and dishonor, right? So that's all the word meaning of the shlok. Very simple shlok. It says that the one who has self-controlled and peaceful, right, have balance in cold and hot, cold and heat, pleasure and pain, and honor and dishonor, is established in Supreme Self, right? So this is the whole summary of entire Gita if you take it that way, but just to take a word at a time is the person who has conquered his mind, right? So first thing, he already told us how to conquer the mind, right? So now he is saying the person who has conquered his mind, and the second part is what? That he is peaceful, serene, right? So the person is serene, conquered his mind, serene, 2, peaceful, who has a balance between heat and cold, not like a potato, that who is cold is like strong, but when it is heated it becomes mushy, right? So not like that. So have a balance between heat and cold, have a balance between sukh and dukh, pleasure and pain, and have a balance between honor and dishonor. Doesn't matter if it is honored or dishonored, right? So that's how it is. Now think about it, right? I was just thinking that somebody will say those are the opposites of life, right? Honor and dishonor, heat and cold, and happiness and pleasure and pain. They are like two opposite sides. So if you look at it, the life is full of duality, right? When we lived, we talk about non-duality in spiritual senses, but when we look in our life, transactional world, then what happens is everywhere is duality, right? When there is, we call this world in Hindi dunya, like there are two. Okay, so dunya means two, niya, right, means world. So it's always two. There are always two, duality in the transaction world, right? Me and everything else, right? So that is always duality. Now at the body level, Krishna Bhagavan always take Shitoshan Sukha Dukkeshu. He always take an example of, what is the call ends in 15 minutes. Are they also timing it off?
It's on. Yeah.
It's 420.
So what happens is, if at the body level, he talks about cold and hot, right? At the body level, he talks about cold and hot, which is, we feel cold and we feel hot, right? The feeling part of it. At mind level, he talks about sukh and dukh, pleasure and pain, right? And at the intellect level, he talks about honor and dishonor, right? So he talks about all three things of that, right? So when we are, whenever we are, say, getting something, there is always when we become happy, there is always a sadness in there, right? There will be something, I want to be this big thing, and then there will be always something that's gonna not be right for it, right? So there, it's always like, hey, let me wake up early, right, to do this exercise. So there is a happiness of doing the exercise and waking up early, but then there is a sadness that you have to leave the sleep and wake up, right? So that sadness is also there. It's going to be always, whatever you're going to do, there will be always two part of it, right? There will be some happiness, some sadness, there will be some honor, some dishonor will be always there, right? So we need to understand that how to keep balance in it. That's what God is saying. The person who keeps the balance in all these three situations, that doesn't get too offended when something is dishonored, don't get too offended when something happens in the life. So if we look at it, there is what do you say, you have to be, we were talking about the stability, right? So in the life, when these dualities come, if this person can stay stable, then it becomes then that person is the one who can reach to the supreme self, right? There was a king who actually was very smart king. He actually drove a line and say, whoever can shorten this line, I will give a big award to them, but you cannot cut or rub this line. How can you make this line short without rubbing or cutting this line? That's the contest he gave it to. He gave it to all the,
where do you put the line?
He put the line on the board and says, shorten this line, like I put it on there. So how would you shorten this line? Can anybody here answer this?
Yeah. You shorten the line by drawing another line.
You draw a longer line so it's relatively short to a different one. That makes it shorter.
You're smarter, but
Wait, that's actually right?
You took my answer, bro.
he took your answer. Okay. Yeah, so you take a bigger line to make the other line shorter, right? That's what he did. An intelligent guy did it. You answered too fast for me. So what happens is, whenever the trouble comes, right? When you relatively think and have a bigger line of gratitude, the trouble line seems shorter than the gratitude line, right? So that's what you have to keep in mind when the trouble comes and we think, oh my God, my trouble is so big. So when this line was not there, what happened? This is the trouble line. Then what do you say? Oh, I have so much sorrow in my life, oh my God, so many I have painful situation in my life, everything is bad, and we keep on focusing on that. As soon as you draw a longer, bigger line of gratitude, what happens? This other line becomes shorter, right? So the sorrow becomes shorter and the gratitude, oh God, you gave me so many things, thank you God for doing this, thank you God for giving me family, thank you God for giving me the house to live, thank you God for giving me food every day to eat, thank you God for having such a blessed life with I'm having so many friends, or I am having such a wonderful people around me, or having such a good whatever things that comes to you, right? So whenever you start putting a line of gratitude become bigger, then all your problems become shorter, right? So that's what happened when the person who has conquered his mind, right, is in peaceful, serene situation. This is what happens to him. It's not that their problem goes away, it's not the challenges goes away, but what happens is they find a bigger line of gratitude when the challenges come. Got it? Right? So that's what it is. So let's talk about this sloka again. So what happened is, Now Jitendriya, but not Jitendriya, Jitatma means control over mind, and also then second is peaceful. So those two things have to have the person who, and then three things Krishna Bhagavan said. The first one was control over mind or conquer the mind. Second thing is peaceful. And then the third thing is balance over opposites. Balance in opposite situation. Right? So keeping balance between opposite situations. Not getting it. So this person now, they are established in higher self. So if the person has these three things, they are established in higher self. So Bhagwan is actually talking about people who can do meditation, right? So he's just giving all the characteristics of people who can do meditation. So now he is coming to that point where he's saying that we have to have control over mind, we have to have peaceful, and then balance of opposites, opposite situation. Now control over mind, you remember he already mentioned it, that to purify in mind, what we have to do? He started with praising Karma Yoga. So that's how the stepwise process go, right? So Bhagwan is giving you the map of everything, how you can get to the point where you can start doing meditation, and how you can relate and connect with your higher self, right? So this is what he is giving us a map. So always keep in mind where we are, how we are talking about, right? Don't get disturbed with, what are we talking about? So get related to where he started from and how he is reaching to this point, right? So what time it is, Raja?
4:28.
Oh, okay. Can we read one more shlok? Let's read it and then we will discuss it next week.
Is this gonna be on the test?
What?
The control over line piece.
Oh, she didn't read the class.
I just,
It seems like it would be a question.
it could be a question again. Okay, let's read another shlok. Oh, how about that? Let me just talk about the summary of the whole, both the things, and then we will start the shlok number 8 next time. Okay, so today we did 2 shloks, 6th and 7th, right? Okay, so here we come from, first of all, to figuring out that whether our mind is our own friend and the mind could be our enemy. The mind could be our friend when it is conquered. The mind is our enemy when it is not conquered, right? And then how to conquer our mind is that what he said is, first control your mind, which is controlling is one thing I wanted to say about this thing is, when mind is, the intellect is with the knowledge, you remember that. The mind is with all the vasanas, right? Desires and vasanas and everything. So mind is capturing the vasanas and desire. Intellect is capturing all the knowledge, the knowledge that you get, the ideas that you get is the intellect, right? So we have to make sure that the mind and intellect are in coordination, right? Next to each other, not doing internal conflicts, right? The mind is going one side and intellect is going other side, then the conflict happen, and mind and intellect both are not in our control. So they have to be in coordination to each other, cooperative to each other. So that's where we can control our mind, right? The next thing we learned today was more about, like, how we have to control the mind. We have to control our senses first. That's easier way. To just control the mind and not controlling senses will not give us any results. That's how it's going to happen. Then we also learned about that if the control of mind is there, peacefulness comes, and then and even if we if we talk about it, that these three things should, we should have these three things. But if you look at it, the control of mind will give the peacefulness, will give the balance of all the opposite situations for us. So they are related to each other. If you control the mind, then peacefulness itself will come, and also balance between pleasure and pain, cold and hot, and all these things will also automatically come. So that's what we have to do. Now we're gonna talk about more that what happens when we get to the yoga ruda position, like when we are ready to do meditate, what happens to us. That's what Krishna Bhagavan is talking about in 8th and 9th chapter, which we're gonna study next time.
We're studying the 8th and 9th chapter next.
8th and 9th slok, sorry. Okay, let's close it. Vasudevasudam
Devam Kamsachanuramardam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Krishna Paramastu.
Okay guys, thank you for coming.